Leaves.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. You've just stepped out of the order hall. It is still significantly raining.
Ugh.
But not too
Ooh.
far from here is the at least safety from the rain, where the upper district shields the medial. And yeah, you've deciphered your letter.
Mm-hmm.
You've gotten a fair amount of clues, a few leads to follow up on. The church, the coalition, and Vidar still at this point 6 days before his return, and you're free to move.
Feels like we had kind of decided on the Colors Guild. That's the next step.
Yes, I remember that.
I do not remember what it is.
And the message gave us
Mm-hmm.
additional clues in that direction, I feel like.
Right.
Yes.
So we're out in the street fairly by ourselves.
Currently, yeah. There's still some traffic on the streets.
Right.
People mostly running from places to others. Those unfortunately stuck with carts with wares on them are just simply slowly carrying their goods back home, being punished by the rains.
Hmm.
Well, we could head down to the Colors Coalition, or we could head back to headquarters for ourselves.
I mean, there's no time like the present.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of the Colors Guild, now a good time to discuss this note you got from that one fella?
All right, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'd kind of gotten on the back burner, but it was that kobold fella you saved, right?
Right.
Tacitus, don't trust the machine hot. How strange.
Who would trust a machine god?
Heart. Machine heart.
Yeah, but the machine heart was kind of a machine god, right?
I mean, I don't know what it means. Maybe.
Who would trust a heart made out of machine?
Oh, that's what it is.
Asking the real questions.
It all makes sense.
That's one of the city's gods.
I wonder if it's like a real thing, though, that the colas are pushing. I don't know.
Hmm.
True.
From what I recall, it's one of the prominent gods of Polythreme. With like a concept of a forge with a beating heart watches over the city.
You
Sure,
all
but
can give me a religion check if you'd like.
What you want?
A religion.
Everyone?
Ink.
12.
Oh,
Natural 20.
Wait.
3, I think. 6.
Wait, I'm good at
16.
oh.
Okay. Those of you who rolled over 15, you know some basics about the machine heart. It's not really a very prominently worshipped deity. It's more of a minus thing. It's almost like the superstitious beliefs of sailors. In this case, of course, most of the lower district.
Is it something with temples and stuff, or is it more like
There's no real
out on the
temples
streets?
to the machine heart. It's more people praying to it in their own homes.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, the lower district being this poor, and especially the miners that worship the machine heart. There's no real glamour or splendor about this worship.
So it doesn't hold
It's
any
more a
power
thing of,
anywhere as a religion or something, right?
well, most of its power in terms of religious force comes from the fact that there is a large mass of workers and miners and people that do believe in it. But there are no holy grounds or anything of the like. There are within these beliefs also different, I would say, sub beliefs. Some do think that the forge is sort of a holy object to that god. Some believe it's just the city as a whole that represents this deity. So even among those faithful, there's a certain degree of division.
So yeah, the weird thing to me about this, and Saleh looks at all the others, is that it doesn't seem like there is anything that really we could trust in the first place. There is no organization behind this. There is no person in power that represents the heart. I don't feel how this is. I don't know what to think of it. It's weird.
That is strange.
I just took it as the poor fool had just had a near-death encounter and was babbling a bit in writing.
I mean, maybe, but maybe there's something deeper that we have to find out in the Colas Guild. I mean, we don't quite know what Uncaster was trying to research either, so maybe they're related. Lots of maybes. Suppose we should head on down there and start getting some answers.
Sounds
We
like
could
a
certainly
plan.
try. Make our way to the Goers Coalition.
Please give me a 1d20.
Who?
Anyone.
Abelin, I believe in you.
No, okay. There you go.
Don't
That's
mess
for
it
you.
up. Ah, it's in my dice.
14.
14?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As you make your way towards the central column, now we have a map. Around here. Make your way to the chain lifts further down to the lower district, where the Colas Coalition would be. You make your way down, and as you move towards the mining district, somewhat close to the slums where you were before, where you entered the mines, this time you take a bit more of an off route than usual, as the streets leading most directly from the chain lift towards the rest of the district are currently packed to the brim with deliveries, carts and people. Probably supplies for the medial and upper district. Soleil, you actually recognize a few crates as you pass by. They are stamped with the signet of Antog Arg, and you know then what they must contain. Food, fruit, all manner of produce. You are for a moment reminded of how long it's been since you've had some proper fruit. In Antog, fruit is valuable. Here, It's almost weighed in gold. And as you pass through the alleys and side paths, just as they converge back onto the main road, you see a group of cowled small people standing at the door to a tavern that seems closed. As one of them realizes that you've seen them, he stands more widely in front of the one currently crowbarring their way inside. Hey!
Well,
You!
well, well.
A goblin shouts towards you. You didn't see nothing, or I cut you in small pieces and fit them up your own ass.
I mean, I think we're all laughing.
Yes.
Hey, what do you think is funny?
I think it's funny breaking into houses in broad daylight. Well, in broad rain.
Us?
Yes.
Nah, we just lost the key.
And by lost, you mean you never had.
No, just lost. Did I stutter?
I mean, sorta.
You see this sort of reddish tint just streak across this goblin's green face. His hand, previously on his belt, is now reaching behind his back. To your assumption, probably grabbing a knife. Behind him, you see one of the goblins sort of bump him, and then you hear this squealy voice behind him. I don't know, man. I don't think I want any trouble.
I listened to your friend there. You know, I don't know if you've met my compatriots. But this here is to lay the knife. This is a Kara. He's a paladin. Well, actually, you don't want to know. I'm making an intimidation check.
Intimidation check, yeah.
Yeah. Can I help by Soleil taking one of his swords and licking it? And looking at them?
Sure.
Natural 20.
Yes!
Yeah, before the supposed leader even musters a reply, you see that a few of the goblins sort of still cowled and cowering near the door. They already bolt. Around the corner, they're gone. Hey, you! Get the... If I see you here again, fuck! And he just runs into the corner.
Fuck!
I just bet you will. Oh, man.
A few moments pass by before you hear a click from the door, and the door swings open. Inside stands an almost haggard-looking man, and he waves you over towards the door.
You alright there, sir?
Yeah. Thank you so much with dealing with those. I would have just had to let them. I mean, it's not like there's that much for the taking, to be honest. Please, come inside, warm up.
Appreciate it.
There it is.
The tavern you enter is relatively small, though it has a quite unique hearth. The hearth is massive, and the fire inside is roaring. A very large statue is hewn into this fireplace. A knight holding two crossed swords. Welcome to the venerable swordsman. The place isn't what it used to be, but we still have some ale and things around. To be honest, even if they broke in, I don't think there would have been that much for them to take. We've been... I shan't trouble you with my burdens. Please, warm up at the fire. I'll bring you some beer. He steps behind the counter, and a few moments later, he brings few mugs of ale to the table on both of his arms, just sort of arrayed as he puts them down on the table.
What time of day is it, Dagger? Roughly?
It's getting to afternoon at this point.
Maybe I'm overlooking something, but I'm a bit curious if there was a reason why their doors were locked in the first place.
Oh, well, we're not currently in business, so to speak. This used to be a very different place, you know. Yeah, it's small, but there used to be. You could only get in here with reservations. There used to be a line out the door of people wanting to get in. We used to have this special brew that our patrons just love. Even the high priest of the Church of the Pyre used to come here. But the brewery, I'm afraid, I don't quite know. They had to shut down. It was something about spiders. I don't.
What brewery was it?
Oh, the Dragonheart Brewery. It's up the mountain. It's close to Polythreme. It's not in the city, actually. I suppose maybe that's why they had to close down. A lot of places outside have closed down.
The food we saw outside, was it in front of this building, basically? Or was it somewhere
No,
else?
it was closer to the chain lift area.
Okay.
Probably since that is sort of the main traffic area into the upper quarters. That's probably where it was waiting to be delivered further up. Sort of like a dumb waiter in a large mansion.
Couldn't you have gone and found a different brewery to supply your box?
Oh yes, surely, but well, we'd be serving, and he sort of points at the mugs in front of you. Mediocre ale like the rest, and keeping this place running is it's not that cheap, and we'd have so much competition. It's almost not really worth it. The whole point of the Venerable Swordsman was its quality, and well, partially its exclusiveness. I think I should still count my lucky stars. At least we have a roof over our heads still. The brewers themselves, I think they've rented a place at the train yards, but I don't know what they are doing these days.
So the brewery is out of business now?
Seems that way. They seem to have some trouble.
Seems like a lot of places around here having trouble recently.
I would say so, yes. The stream of refugees isn't helping. More mouths to feed, more workers for the mines, I suppose, when the mines don't really produce anything worth eating.
What if we take care of the spiders?
Well, I suppose you'd have to talk to the brewer. I'm sure he'd be happy. If he can start back up again, I'm sure you'd be compensated.
And how happy would you be?
Well, you're talking about my livelihood here.
Mm-hmm.
I would be in your debt for the rest of my life, I suppose.
So, how many percent of your livelihood would it be worth to you?
Well,
you are quite the skilled negotiator. I'll admit I'm a little bit sidelined by that. suppose if we're running at a profit, we can put some of that profit aside.
Seems like getting the cart before the horse. It's as you said,
Yeah,
a
well,
complicated situation.
we have to talk things out before we do something, right?
I can certainly promise you compensation, but well, there's no telling how situation turns out to be. I can't really
Yeah, that's
give
why
you
I'm
numbers.
that's why I'm talking in percent instead of fixed numbers, because if you promise us 1,000 gold and you can't get it started again, that would destroy you, right? And we don't want that.
Of
That's why we're
course,
talking
of course.
about percent here.
What about free drinks for a lie?
Well, that's certainly.
I mean, that might be good for you, Kara, but
So great. That suggestion.
If the stuff is as good as he says. It's like
sure.
I
Well,
guess
you
that's
know,
your part
sir?
then.
I apologize, sir. What was your name?
Yes, hold on.
Hear the
I understand it's
concert.
been a long day for everyone here, and maybe if you stop dabbling in your own drink a bit, then you'd have an easier time getting in customers.
Wow.
wow.
I can't remember your name. That's the only thing I can think of that would cause such an issue.
I'm deeply sorry. I hadn't expected today to turn out like this. The name's Endor. Yes, I am the owner of the Venerable Swordsman. Currently.
And who is
Well-
the
go on.
head brewer of the Dragon Heart Brewery?
Tuzba, he, to be quite frank, it's been a good week since I've seen him. He was looking for work at the train yards since, yeah.
And was it Tuzba that he tell you that there were spiders? Or was that just you heard from somewhere else?
Well, he seemed, yes, he used to live at the brewery. He seemed panicked. He was babbling. I didn't quite make out. He said that spiders had overrun and that he'd made a mistake, but well, all I really got from that conversation was that our main supplier's closed and out of work, and he's now in the city looking for work. I would have, of course, offered him help, but well, he sort of gestures around, somewhat in a similar spot.
You know, now that you mention it, I mean, we're currently on a bit of a job at the moment, but if you might help us out a little bit with some non-monetary type help, I suppose we could probably look into it.
What kind of help do you mean?
Well, it seems like you're familiar with the area, and you had said the High Cleanser had come in here.
Yes, there's quite a few people of name that even came down from the upper or the medial district. Vidar was here once. Suppose it's not that big of an accomplishment, but a few of the higher ranks of guardsmen regularly come by. I believe the chairman of the coalition has been here a few times. Of course, Haribald used to come here quite frequently, actually.
Well, how about that? We start with that. What can you tell us about Haribald, and then was a bit curious about the colas. You ever heard of a man called Yarick?
Yarick.
It
Is
was
that that
Yarick, right?
bald fellow? Balding? Sort of Weasley looking, maybe?
Definitely Weasley looking. Yeah. In deep with the guards, it seems like.
I, th- I think, yes. I think I've seen him. I don't really dabble as much with the. I'm usually behind the counter. If. Well, if Dawson were here, she could probably tell you more, but. Well, she left the city, actually. She used to be the waitress around here, but. Well, I did have a conversation or two with the archpriest, or what high cleanser I believe they call themselves. Um, he's a oddly jovial fellow. At least when he's drinking, he usually doesn't talk for a good few minutes until he's had a few. But I mean, what do you want me to tell about him? How he looks? He's more of an older fellow.
Well, honestly,
When did
that's good to know.
when did you shut down?
Oh, that was maybe 2 weeks ago now. We've been open for probably a week after the brewery closed, just limiting people who came in. We had a few barrels left, obviously, but we burned through those quickly.
Important question. If the brewery was so important and probably made quite a bit of money, right? Why haven't they taken care of the problem yet? They should have the funds, right?
Well, as I understand them, a few of them died, the rest left in a panic, and well, they weren't producing a large amount of of ale. I believe other than us, there was only one other place they supplied, and I believe those were. It was an exporting company to other cities.
So you were basically the only place in the whole city that sold it?
Pretty much, as far as I know. I'm sure some other taverns probably bought some from said company, but well, none were building their business exclusively on it. I suppose I also shouldn't have done that in hindsight, but well.
It's actually quite an interesting thought. You know much more about the cola skills around here?
Well, pretty much workers' union. Every miner is part of the coalition, pays their fees, receives their benefits, and there's
Right.
not that much else to say about it.
But I mean,
Pretty-
like, you hear any rumors about, oh, the Colas Guild's looking to, I don't know, expand or get into some other business or, I don't know,
Expand.
this, that, or the other thing?
I mean, coal flows in their veins. That's what they always say. I don't see them doing anything else. I suppose if the coal mines are ever empty, that could be a problem. But I don't think they have the heart for anything else. They seem well. I wouldn't say simple, but simple, not simple-minded, but very singularly focused, I suppose.
Well, sure, but I mean, there's lots of things down in the earth. What if they were to come across, I don't know, gold or iron or something down there? You hear any
Well,
rumors like that?
I no, I don't. I bet. I mean, they must find other stuff down there, I suppose. But I don't know anything about any
Okay.
ongoings at the guild or mining stuff.
Fair enough.
It's rather foreign to me, I'm afraid.
If you don't mind just giving us a minute, you know, we usually like to talk about these things before we make a decision.
No, of course. Yeah, yeah. If you need more privacy, yes. I mean, I can just go into the back rooms for a moment. He sort of hesitates as he walks back, leaving you alone in the tavern. You hear the
Time to
door
rob everything.
creak and
Mm-hmm.
close behind him.
Look, if we potentially can get this place up and running again, we might be able to run kind of an operation of sorts here where instead of having to go track down everyone that we want to ask questions, they're just coming here anyways.
Very true.
Yeah.
And
And on the sideline, we can also make a little bit of money.
Well, here's my thought. This Haribo fella we're interested in. And this guy just told us that he gets talking after drinking, and now we know his favorite brew, right?
Yes.
right.
We get a casket of that, probably gets us in good with him, huh?
I assume so. So I think that trying to find the brewers that are down potentially by the train station, Two Spot or whatever his name is, and seeing if we can get more information on what happened and where his brewery was, and heading that way.
Yeah.
At least that gives us a definitive source to follow versus this wandering about that we're doing.
Perhaps while we're doing that, he could try to look up this docent that knows more about stuff around here.
It sounded like she might have left the city, but possibly
Yeah, I don't know.
reach out or something like that. There's no specific timeline on trying to find out the cause of or who's behind the murder of your mentor, correct, Catherine?
Suppose not.
Seems like it's pretty, I don't know, high level job or somebody powerful is behind it.
If you want to get anything done around here in the city that's going to need to have any sort of communication with people, you need influence. Being able to say
Right.
that we could walk anyone into this pub and get them a drink at any point in time would be a significant amount of influence to have as well, outside of even just this
And money.
Very true.
interaction.
Gives us the funds to follow the murderer, which is also something that doesn't give us money, by the way, so we need to have our funds stocked up if we want to solve
Agreed.
this.
True.
I just need to make sure that the cause is something we can actually deal with. Versus, like, if it's just this matter of spiders or some sort of creatures, that's one thing, but if,
I'm sure that's more a question for the Two Spot fella.
right. Need to not need to make any promises here.
Right. Sounds like we are interested, though. And I do like your idea, Soleil, of the percentage. I mean, that seems very fair to everyone involved.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Right.
It's at least a much more immediate lead than trying to talk our way into the Cola's Guild. But that's being said, this Looncaster seemed like a sort of immediate thing too. This, message you decoded said something about 48 hours, hadn't heard, and seemed kind of urgent.
Shouldn't been communicated with for 48 hours.
Yeah.
But
Wasn't the guy who offered us a job from the Colors Mine?
Yeah, that's that Yarick that I asked about.
Yeah.
Right. Because if he wants to pay us for a job, then that might be a good opportunity to both earn money and get some insight into Colors
True. Maybe we swing by there right after this and just kind of see.
So yeah, I feel like these two things should be our focus right now.
Figure on the map, would we know roughly where the train station district is?
Yes. So you're currently here.
Mm-hmm.
The Coalesced Coalition isn't far from here. They have most of their buildings in... I should probably just use this. In this general area. This, you know, is the slums that you pass by on your way to the mines, which are here at the edge of the city. The train yard is pretty much on the other side at this point.
Roughly how long does it take to cross from one side of the city to the other?
Probably a good 3 hours of walking.
Ugh. Big yikes.
So, I mean, we are already pretty close to Kohler's, because that's where we were headed.
We could
Is
go
that
to the
correct?
Polars today, see if we can find any information,
Yeah.
head back to the guild in the evening, and then tomorrow head out to the train station.
Yeah, it sounds like a good
Sounds
plan.
like a very good plan to me.
Alright.
Well, I'll go get find establishment owner.
How far away from are we from the Polar's Coalition?
A few minutes walk.
Okay.
I think we talked it through, sir. Come back out.
You see the door sort of creak open and this small angle, and then he steps out and sort of holding his hands in front of him. So, you've decided?
Yeah, I think we're pretty interested in helping you out. Couple things we would be asking.
Of course.
So, if we are able to, you know, restore the brewery and by extension your establishment, would you be open to us having an open invitation here and being able to bring in whoever we may want to invite?
Of course, we'll put up a table just for you. It will remain free, and of course, until you show up every time. We'll keep on open
Very
just for
kind.
you.
And then the matter of some kind of direct payment. Does something like a percentage sound reasonable to you? You know, it's kind of based on our mutual success.
Yeah, of course.
And what would that normally look like for you?
Well, based on what we were doing in profits before everything shut down, how does 20% sound?
You know, I'll look
Of
at
the
people,
profits,
but
of course.
right.
Yes, of course. Once we set up again, there's quite a few expenditures at the beginning, hiring people and
Right,
building
wouldn't
up
be
stock
for a
again,
while.
and of course then there's getting the name out again. I'm not sure how much our reputation holds up after this drought.
Sure. I mean, that sounds fairly
Reputation
reasonable
we can
to
help
me.
with easily enough, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Getting people back in. If you needed opening expenses and costs, initially always cost a little bit more. So, if this is a long-term deal, we could always do, if the rest of the party is agreeable, a simple 5% on the first month and then going after that to the 20%. Should be able to get your feedback under you.
Yeah, of course, that sounds reasonable. I'd probably just take a small loan at the beginning to get things going. And yeah, that would be excellent.
Well, all right then. Is there any type of? I mean, you can keep the door shut, but you think those goblins will be back?
Oh, those ruffians have been. I don't think so. They rarely return, especially if they've been caught. There's a
Okay,
few smaller gangs in these parts that do this kind of thing. I don't think they thought anyone was in here, but well, I was sort of hiding in the back room.
gotcha. Well, hopefully you'll be good until we return then. Oh, one thing we would maybe ask is if you do have a way of getting in contact with the docent you mentioned, letting them know that hopefully you'll be opening back up, and we'd be probably interested in talking to her at some point.
Of course, I wouldn't know how she didn't leave any means of contact behind,
Oh,
but I could reach out and see if anyone's heard of her.
might be worth a look.
Well, in the meantime, if you, while we start looking into this matter, if you need anything, you can find us. Oh, my brain just died.
The Quartermain's
Quartermains.
Guild
Mm-hmm.
up in the Medial District. It's fairly near the chain lifts.
Okay, Quartermain's Medio. I got it.
If anyone gives you trouble, you can let us know there.
Yep. Well, all
Right.
right. Should be on our
Nothing done
way.
sitting here. So, best be on, right?
He clasps his hand together and he sort of bows, this curt bow, and thank you for trying, and the goblins.
The
Our
goblins
pleasure.
were idiots. So, no trouble there.
They gave us a good laugh anyway.
Well then. Let's be off.
But yeah. How do we construct these markers? Is that something you bring up?
What markers?
The like map markers.
Let me give you. I've got an infinite bag here.
Wow.
Wow. Ooh.
Oops.
Infinite.
Sounds like you're a god of this
Well,
place.
Wow.
Dice are also infinite bags. So, you continue on towards the Colas Coalition.
Hmm.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The Colas Coalition is easy to find. They have no reservation about plastering their insignia over every spot they can. Despite their pride, or rather because of it, not a single building in the upper districts above the lower bears the insignia. It's been said jokingly before that a cola is born in the mines, lives in the mines, and dies in the mines. And while it's not fully accurate, obviously, there's a kernel of truth to it. The Coas Coalition prides itself of being the lifeblood of the lower district, with all its strengths and shortcomings. And as you round the corner to the large road that you've previously taken down to the mines, along the road is a few buildings, the largest of which you would assume is, if not their headquarters, at least a central office. The building is a tall, blocky building, reaching all the way up to the ceiling. Like many other buildings in this area, creating one of, the thousand supports that hold the Meteor district above. From the outside, by the brickwork, one can still tell that the building was originally much shorter, and over time, as the city grew, more and more sturdy stories were built on top. There's a great crowd pushing by these streets, as is probably the usual. Many civilians are walking in and out of the large building in front of you. Through its many gates, you can see long lines, a constant flow of workers peeling in and out. It must be an organizational nightmare running the coalition. These long, orderly queues that reach from counters deep inside all the way to the roadside are filled to the brim with people, some of them holding papers, some looking more like workers from the mines, though not dirtied and finely dressed.
Catherine, before we go in, can you remind us Looncaster's description?
Well, Luncaster's description is one of those descriptions that could fit a million people. She's
Okay.
a woman of medium build, brown long hair, a somewhat harsh face, a very pronounced jaw. There's not really much then. You could tell her apart from other people. You'd recognize her, Catherine, when you would see her, but
And
Trying to discern.
unless you were to draw a picture,
remember, people, we might have seen her too before.
Right. Maybe.
Yeah. Can look out for that person too, in case it's her.
Mm-hmm.
Were we gonna?
Exactly where are we going here?
Well, we have an open invitation from Yarek, who's an eel. Otherwise, I don't know.
Didn't you say that you might have had a run-in with her and she was?
Right, but they were taken off to
away?
the jail.
Hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So we could head to the jail nearby or see if they'd give us any information.
That might be a reasonable spot to start, just to see if we see her. I mean,
Or
Sure
get
will be
names or
convenient.
something like that.
true.
In case, I would imagine if Castor's here, she's going under a different name.
Right.
So if it was her that was taken, then we'll at least have that name to go by if she was put in jail and released.
Couldn't that also be a reason for the 48 hours of no communication?
Certainly
Could be.
could.
But if it
Or
is
we could,
like that, how did the piece of paper get into her stuff?
Which piece?
The coded piece of paper? Wasn't that in
that
her?
was in the office.
Oh, that was, okay, then, okay.
Who knows when that was written?
Right.
Then, yeah, maybe the 48 hours is because she was in prison.
We could also potentially ask Yarek after them if
Mm.
he has any information. If he wanted to go that avenue, although anything we ask for will probably be at a price of some sort.
Yep. And we probably wouldn't get a straight answer out of that guy anyway.
Not unless it meant something to him.
Is that person that they were ganging up on, I suppose? Room, room. Shh. I think. Did you guys mention that?
Oh, he
Yeah.
mentioned it, but he was the one who showed up after the fact with the guards in tow.
I mean
I forgot.
I
There
know.
was
The
an
victim.
individual they were fighting
The
with, but we didn't really get their name.
Do you remember what she looks like? Or they?
She had lighter hair, I think. Probably saw her maybe in a crowd. She was a bit roughed up and on the ground.
Hmm.
was a woman, but that is about half of everybody, so you know.
We got hunting down Yorick or heading to the jail. Any votes here for?
I vote jail. More information's always better.
Mm-hmm.